What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about what's in my camera bag 2023 edition. Let's jump into it. So currently I'm still using the Low Pro Tactic 350. I've been meaning to upgrade, just haven't got around to it. And right now this bag is serving me perfectly fine. It's been to hell and back, not gonna lie. It's pretty much falling apart. Some of the straps are falling apart. The inside mesh is starting to wear off from use and abuse, pretty much. Like the saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I don't really see a need to upgrade as of right now because I do like to keep my camera setup small and compact. You know, the more space you have, the more stuff you're gonna accumulate and bring with you. That just adds weight to your back. And for me personally, I try to keep my setup as light as possible because there's nothing worse than going on a hike or trying to get to this destination and you have so much stuff on your back just weighing you down, and the next day you're going to be feeling it, your back's going to be sore. So I try to negate some of that by just not having that much camera gear on me. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Canon R5. That's the camera of choice for me right now. Absolutely love the video, 8K RAW, 4K 120. The camera does everything you could ever ask for. It has a ton of megapixels to allow you to, blow up images, print them off, or crop into the images that you do take to recompose it. Maybe you don't have enough zoom to reach something. You could just crop in and have a ton of room to play with. Lens that pretty much lives on the camera at all times, especially if I'm shooting video or if I'm just going out for, a walk and I just want to maybe shoot some video clips and get some photos as well, is the 15 to 35 millimeter f2.8 IS lens. And this is pretty much like the typical vlogger lens. I do really like it. I'm currently filming with the setup right now, and it gives you a really good, decent wide angle shot, as well as up to 35 millimeters, which is also one of my favorite focal ranges. It's typically what your eye sees around that range. I would say a lot of photographers love using a 35 millimeter lens, so this allows me to get that range. On this lens, I also have the Freewell variable ND. It comes with a magnetic cover. This filter pretty much lives on this lens at all times. Right now, I don't have the filter attached to the camera because I'm shooting inside. I don't really need a variable ND filter right now, but if I'm outside shooting, it pretty much lives on the camera. The next lens up that I pretty much shoot all my photos with, if I'm taking photos, guaranteed this lens is going to be on the camera, which is the 28 to 70 f2 lens. I used to have a 85 millimeter, 50 millimeter, 35 millimeter lens, and for me that was just too much weight on my back, so I decided to pick up the 28 to 70 f2. Pretty much fit into all of those focal ranges. Obviously it's not going to go all the way up to 85 millimeters, but for me, for most of my work, the 28 to 70 just fits perfectly into what I like to shoot. I like to run and gun. I don't really want to have a bunch of weight on my back. I don't want to constantly be having to switch lenses. The weight doesn't really get to me. Yes, it is a heavy lens. On the front of this lens, I do have a gobe, I think that's how you say it, lens filter system. So I do have a UV filter. I also have a polarizing filter, not attached to the lens at all times. I just pick and choose which one I want to use, but I do have one of these two filters on the lens at all times, just so I don't want to scratch the front element of my lens and then be stuck with that forever. If I do end up banging the filter and it breaking or scratching, I just go buy a new one. Obviously I don't want to have to go out and buy a whole new lens because that would suck, especially for the price of this lens. It is extremely expensive. My justification is if it's replacing 2-3 lenses that are also extremely expensive, then it's gonna benefit me more, especially in my pockets, because it's not gonna be as expensive. I also use the 3-legged thing L bracket. I find this to be absolutely amazing. It provides a little bit of protection, especially for the ports if you have anything plugged in. I also do have a per gear mini tripod, and it allows me to shoot horizontal video as well as vertical video just by moving the attachment of the tripod, which I find ideal, especially if you're trying to, get your vlogging on. I find that it fits perfectly and it just works. That's my thing. Like, I like to have things that have multiple uses as well as just work. As well as I have the SanDisk Extreme Pro CF Express card reader because the Canon R5 has CF Express cards, which are also extremely expensive. I'm not exactly too sure which CF Express card I'm using. I forget. I just have one of them. It's a 512 gigabyte card, and I find that it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the other brands, and there's not really any drawbacks for me personally. I haven't had any issues with it. I'm going to do a review on those. I also have a couple multi-tools in my camera bag that just allows me to tighten up tripods and things like that. Nothing really crazy or brand specific. They came with, the tripod or the three-legged thing, and I just keep them in the bag just in case that I need to tighten something up. I also have the Rode Video Micro, pretty much lives on top of my camera if I'm shooting video. No real bad things to say about that. It just plugs straight in. It uses the power from the camera, so no batteries. There's nothing worse than going out on a shoot and midway through your shoot, your microphone battery dies and then you can't use any of the footage because you have no audio. I've had it for a couple years, no real issues with it. I'm also using the Peak Design camera strap system because I absolutely hate the camera straps that come with cameras. I don't know why they haven't upgraded these. That's the little red tags hanging off the side of the camera. I also do have the wrist strap. For me, it allows me to just take off the camera strap really quickly and just shoot handheld. With these, it allows you at least a little bit of versatility. I can take off the camera strap and then I can use the wrist strap if I'm just trying to run and gun, hold in the camera, or I could switch back, or I could just completely remove it and then I can set it up on a tripod and not have to worry about a camera strap flopping around, getting in the way. Yes, I do have other little cards that I do use, but I'm not going to go over those because they're just SD cards. Also, what lives in my camera bag is the MacBook Pro 14-inch M1 Pro. It's just the baseline, nothing crazy. I do really love this computer. It handles the 8K perfectly fine. So that's pretty much it, what's in my camera bag 2023. I'll do one later on in the year if anything does change, but right now I'm just using this camera setup and I'm currently loving it. If you did like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It does help. And until the next video, peace.